afternoon, good day, good night, wherever you are, to all the beings in the world, including animals and nature. We are here, and welcome to Mama Africa show for Africans in the diaspora, United States, Europe, Asia, wherever you are, even in the motherland. This is your show. And today we have an amazing guest here. We're talking about food. And so, yes, Miss, should I call you Dr. Tambra? Not yet. Let's say it's coming.
Yeah.
Tambra Raye Stevenson will be talking us about the food that we eat. It can heal or it can hurt us. And of course, there is much more with what we call news around the world. And maybe we might have music from an independent artist who's very well known here in Africa and in the diaspora. And this show always talks about our strive, our thrive, and our hustle in the diaspora. So not every Friday, but every other Friday we are here, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Today we had to start a little bit late because we had unavoidable circumstances. But we are here and we are live on YouTube. Our goal is to build, reignite, reinvigorate each other in the diaspora and beyond. My name is Anna Mwalago, a.k.a. Mama Africa Anna, and I'm so happy, blessed to be on the mic with you today.
Don't make me change, don't make me change, don't make me change, it's my culture. Don't make me change, don't make me change, don't make me change, it's my culture.
Well, as I said today, I have a friend. This is actually Tambra Raye Stevenson is my friend. I have me, just like I always like to say, me know you long time. And, and I'm just happy that you accepted to come. And we're going to talk about, even though you are American, you are the African, because you got the black African skin. So you are one of us. And definitely I'm going to talk to you about food. And also, I really want you to tell me about this Project 25 and how it's going to impact our food policy, as you said. So definitely there's so much we are going to talk about. And of course, we're going to go to diaspora music. And I hope my friend, he might be here, Sheikh Kamala Diabate, all the way from Mali through the United States of America, will be here. And then we're going to go to our mother tongue section, a place, everybody likes when we talk about our different proverbs from different parts of Africa, different languages, different dialects. So definitely we have that in store for you. But first, let's go to our news around the world. Oh, well, the last time we were here, you know what happened. We are talking about whether these two old men were going to battle it in the elections. And I remember my guest, Kathy, was like, what's wrong with old age? Because everybody was saying, Biden is old. And then we said, oh, man, Biden, he can't do it. And Dr. Kathy Kamanzi said, old is wisdom. But, for one reason or another, Biden stepped down. And Vice President Kamala Harris has accepted the DNC nomination. What do you think about that, Ms. Tambra?
Yes, we can.
That's all you got to say. Oh, my goodness.
I have a lot more to say, but I just wanted to start out with the most obvious, that Biden is a Catholic. And for him on a Sunday,
yes,
to have the Lord come to him in his dreams,
yes,
to say, what do the people need?
Yes.
They need a woman for the movement.
Yes.
And that woman was his right hand woman, which is Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris, yes.
I think a lot of us had a sense of like a roller coaster ride. We were down, and now we're up.
Yes.
And we are going to stay up all the way till November.
I tell you, and the DNC convention was hot. It was lit.
It's coming in hot.
I wish I was there. Did you go?
In my dreams, I did. I had FOMO-itis like everybody else, the fear of missing out. I had real adult responsibilities.
I know, FOMO, yes. And then, of course, we got other issues in East Africa. They're saying that the mpox is spreading in East Africa, and so they are waiting a vaccine. But I'll read a little bit, which I did get this information from BBC, saying a truck driver had traveled from Democratic Republic of Congo, where the outbreak emerged, through to Uganda onto the Kenyan coastal city of Mombasa. He then traveled back using the same route and fell sick on arrival in Uganda. He has since recovered. Health officials in Kenya and Uganda say they have increased their surveillance along their borders. Wow. I mean, this impacts thing, man. I don't know what to say because, you know, I was in Kenya 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and, you know, it was a little bit, they did mention it, but life continues. I traveled by the SGR. I went back and forth from Taita to Nairobi, and, you know, we cool. So let's pray for the best, you know.
Most definitely.
Yeah, just definitely pray for the best. And then, guess this. Oh, Lord. Another news here. I must say it in two ways, in the Kenyan accent, then in the American accent. Let's start with the Kenyan accent. Robot waiters turn heads in Kenya. So let me try to say how people say it, because it's hard for me. Is it robots? How you say robot?
Robot.
Yes, there you go. I can say it. I cannot say it.
It's like long vowel, then short vowel.
Oh, Lord. I must say it again.
Robot.
Robot. Yes,
There you
robot
go.
waiters turn heads in Kenya. In a swanky Nairobi suburb, there is a new dining experience that's pulling in the crowds. Robots are assisting the staff at the Robot Cafe, the first of its kind in East Africa. I do not think I'm going to be allow myself to be served by a robot, whatever it is.
Well, if you know the study that happened during the pandemic where
Yes.
those who were Uber drivers dropping off your food,
Yes.
they were eating your fries, and 1 in 4. And so, yeah, the robot ain't going to eat my food. So maybe that might be a good thing and lessen the effects of viral infectious diseases too.
Kamala, I mean, now I'm calling you Kamala. Tambra. I mean, you're here talking about food policy and you're talking about you support the robots.
I'm just saying.
What about employment security?
Public health over economic security. Sometimes we got to choose.
I disagree with you, man. If these robots come to all these restaurants, what happens to us? We do not get jobs. People in Africa right now, in East Africa, the youth are complaining on the streets because of lack of employment.
I know, but someone had to make the robot, so that was a job.
Oh my goodness, we can talk about
I mean, at
this.
one point we were Pony Express and now we're riding automobiles.
Oh.
So how do we want to do this? We're getting the horses out of the business too.
Oh my, I don't. Let's not even go there because I'm going to start talking about ChatGPT and the way it's taking all our jobs. Anyway.
No, it's enhancing jobs, and the person with the ChatGPT skills is taking the person away his job who doesn't know ChatGPT.
Oh, let's just stop right there. Well, we have so much to talk about, therefore we are not going to waste any time, but we're going to play some music, then come back with our main topic, definitely, because this main topic today is hard. I'm so excited you are here. I can't wait to introduce you. I can't wait to tell people all about what you do, and then definitely get to the questions. So we're coming back with our main topic and our guest. And the song you're listening to is my song, of course, Kipenzi, which is a latest song, just came out like around 6, 7 months ago. And please go to my YouTube page if you are here already or listening after the show, if you're live. And please, subscribe so that, we can get you more information, more music, more shows, more videos. And also don't forget that definitely we come to you, Mama Africa Show, every other Friday, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. This is Kipenzi. He got it, yeah, but yeah. Well, thank you so much for listening to Mama Africa Show. Thank you for tuning in, my friends, my family, my fans, wherever you are. I know it's a Friday, and in Swahili we say Furahi Day, so maybe you are somewhere furahing, but just know that we are here for you, and definitely tune in. This is going to be an amazing show. I call it the Gambo Show, eh? So let me tell you who Tambra Raye Stevenson is. As I say, she's my sister, founder and CEO of WANDA, Women Advancing Nutrition Dietetics and Agriculture. Tambra Raye Stevenson is a visionary leader in nutrition, advocacy, food and health policy, and equity, hailing from the Heartland as the 5th generation Oklahoman and a former Future Farmers of America card-carrying member. Tambra roots in agriculture and nutrition run deep. I mean, you say, wow, why did you choose nutrition? We'll get back to that. As the founder and the CEO of WANDA, Women Advancing Nutrition, Dietetics and Agriculture, Tambra empowers women and girls across Africa and the diaspora to become catalysts for transformative change. Her commitment for promoting African diasporic foods for health and cultural identity is reflected in work with NATIVSOL Kitchen, NATIVSOL Kitchen, an initiative providing invaluable Pan-African nutrition education. Tambra's influence extends beyond her education and endeavors, as she has been featured in esteemed publications such as the Washington Post, Forbes, NPR, National Geographic, Traveler, and Voice of America. Throughout her distinguished career, Tambra has been a tireless advocate for an inclusive and equitable food system, championing the preservation of nutritional heritage of the African diaspora. Let me say that again, championing the preservation of the nutritional heritage of the African diaspora. Her leadership positions on influential boards and councils, including the USDA's National Agriculture Research Extension, Education and Economics Advisory Board, underscore her impactful presence in the field. Tambra involvement with Washington, D.C.'s Food Policy Council, Tufts University Food and Nutrition Innovation Council, and the Milken Institute's Food as Medicine Advisory Board demonstrates her dedication to expanding access to healthy food and nutritional services. Tambra is you are a leader, exactly. Tambra's leadership and advocacy have earned her prestigious accolades, including being named the Science Defender by the Union of Concerned Scientists at the Women's Environmental Leadership Fellow by the Smithsonian Anacostia Community Museum. Her insightful TEDx talk on the empowering journey of Black women reclaiming food as medicine is a testament to her commitment to educating and inspiring. Additionally, Tambra co-chairs the NAACP DC Branch Health Committee, where she fights COVID-19, tobacco, and nutrition inequity by advocating for healthy communities. She has also led initiatives impacting the lives of 500 members through gardening, yoga, meditation, nutrition, and fitness, for which she received the William Montag, did I say that right, Comp Award for Health and Food Advocacy at the 2017 NAACP National Convention. Tambra, let's just say one more thing, because you know it's a lot I can say about this sister right here. Tambra began her public service career at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, managing diverse portfolios related to tribal and intergovernmental affairs, health, IT, and small business procurement. She also handled public affairs for the U.S. Department of Commerce Minority Business Development Agency and played a significant role in starting a new office on women's policy and initiatives under D.C. Mayor Fenty. Tambra holds a BS in Human Nutrition from Oklahoma State University, an MA in Media Technology and Democracy from American University, and an MPH in Health Communication from Tufts University School of Medicine. She is currently a PhD candidate at the American University School of Communication, focusing on Black women's belonging in online communities to improve their health. Last but not least, Tambra is highly requested workshop facilitator, speaker, and the coach on food leadership, nutrition, workforce development, intersectional and food colonialism, health equity, and cultural nutrition communication. Beyond her professional achievements, Tambra is a devoted mother of two, reflecting her commitment to shaping a healthier future for generations to come. Welcome, Miss Tambra Raye Stevenson, my friend. Yes.
Thank
How
you
you
so
doing?
much. How you doing?
Doing well. I'm doing well now that you are here. My stress is low. I'm just excited because when you do this show, it's like almost like opening a pot and you don't know what's inside, and you always anticipate good things coming out. So how have you been?
I'm blessed to be here with you.
Yes.
You're always in good spirits,
Oh,
and
thank
you're
you.
like a vibe master. You change the vibe of the room just by having your presence.
Thank
So
you.
This is a good way to end the week.
Yes. And I think we met like almost 10 years ago, long time ago.
Your memory's better than mine.
Yes, when your kids were little, like young, very young, and then kept in touch. And I've always wondered, man, Tambra is always traveling. She will be from one continent to the next. I'm like, how do you do this? So here we are, we're talking about food, and I want to start by quoting what you said. Our future, health and rights are on the ballot. Tell me why you talk about that, especially now that we have this election coming up.
Most definitely. When I started to pursue nutrition, I didn't even know it was a field that existed at the time. I wanted to be a physician when I was a kid, and when I learned about nutrition and understanding and researching in labs with top professors and researchers, I started to realize over time that the goal of the research is to translate to improve the health of communities.
Yes.
But once I came to DC, began working in policy and realizing the intersection of policy and politics and what literally is at stake, who you have as a leader in the room shifts the resources in our communities.
Yes.
And when you think about having now served on the DC Food Policy Council since its inception, one fun fact I learned is that the grocery stores we have in our communities, they're profitable, but they're
Yes.
not making the profit at an exponential rate that they desire. And so, in other words, we have master's degrees determining where grocery stores are being placed.
Yes.
So when we look at the educational levels in our Black communities, who has masters? You start to realize, well, that's another way to create redlining. We knew about redlining from when it came to housing.
Yes.
But now the term that's out there is grocery market redlining, where now grocery stores, based off the formula and how they determine where to place them, is another way to show this inequity within the food system, creating a food apartheid that Karen Washington coined the term. And in other words, what that means is we have a systematic oppression happening that is being incorporated through our policies and through how we think about capitalism. And so right now, our food is seen as a commodity. It's seen as part of a capitalistic system, and therefore food is not going to be available to everyone.
Yes.
And until we uphold to that one line in the UN Declaration of Human Rights that the right to food should be should be accessible to humans, we are not living up to this idea of truly being a superpower, of having Americans have access to food in order to heal themselves, but also create jobs out of food. And sovereignty is one way. And what we're calling it is food freedom. We should be able to freely be able to not only grow food, make food through our own cultural ways, be able to do it without shame, blame, but also be able to do it so it can heal us and not kill us.
Yes, and on what thing you just said, because I did a little bit research, and I quote what you say somewhere, that 17 million of U.S. households were food insecure. So one out of 4 Black people, or 1 out of 5 Hispanic people have food insecurity.
And not only that, most of them look like us.
Yes.
They're women.
Yes.
They're women of color. And when we think about that, we should be at the forefront of this food fight, leading the charge.
And for it being America, I was like, how can that be so? Whereby when we are throwing food in the trash,
It's about what we value.
you understand? I
Right.
mean, different households here, people throw food in the trash all the time.
Exactly.
Or even you go to these fast food places, at the end of the day, whatever was not bought is thrown. And when you say food insecurity, I'm like, what are you talking about? In America, food is plenty, but when you just talked about what we call food deserts, whereby they are creating or building grocery stores according to what you call your
Education.
economical status.
Yeah, exactly.
So therefore, definitely you don't have a they know this area is
exactly.
underserved
It's a way
area.
to be racist without
Yes.
saying you're racist.
Yes, this area is underserved. This area therefore will not give them the profit they need. They don't build a grocery store there. So we are left with one, not even a 7-Eleven, but a liquor store that really doesn't have any
Right.
food, and therefore that.
Right.
That is true, and that's how you create
Right.
food insecurity.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We have more liquor stores than we have grocery stores, and that's by design. Frederick Douglass, in his memoir, My Bondage, My Freedom, published in 1865,
Yes.
he had noted that what he observed was the flow of liquor given to those enslaved around holiday time, like December, because they were given freedom to celebrate.
Yes.
And that's when people typically escape, like Harriet Tubman
Yes.
would lead people to freedom.
Yes.
And so they would intentionally give liquor to the slaves to
yes.
inebriate them so
Yes.
they would get tipsy and,
And
can't escape
think-
for
yes,
freedom.
yes.
And so the fact that we see this played out now in a contemporary setting of more liquor stores than
Yes.
food stores,
Uh-huh.
he basically said food was being weaponized and hunger was a tool that was intentionally used. And so that is why it's so incredibly important to understand what's at stake with this election and understanding that food is on the ballot. Food represents power, it's
Yes.
identity, it represents our culture, and we have to take it and get into the fight.
So going back to food is on the ballot, because definitely, we got this project 2025 by the
Right.
Republicans. Explain to me about that a little bit, and then comes to food policy.
So 2 weeks ago, I was in Oklahoma,
Yes.
and I was just talking to fellow residents about what is happening in terms of like getting involved in the campaign and elections, and it was clear from talking to folks that Project 2025 is already in play. The difference is scaling it up at a national level.
So
And
explain a
what's
little bit about
so
that
in other
Project
words,
25 with food and policy.
So in other words, let's take the current governor in Oklahoma, block SNAP, block Sunbucks. Sunbucks is a summer nutrition program that was designed for children to have like a card like we have in DC. It's available in all states, but it basically 1 in 6 Oklahomans are food insecure, and that would not only help to put food in the mouths of our children, but also help our local economies when you think about money being paid at the local grocery stores. So why would a governor block that?
Okay.
He's a Republican governor in a very red state.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, some of the processes that are happening that he's doing is an example of Project 2025.
Yes.
And so that means cutting SNAP, blocking programs that literally are providing nutrition programs to the community. Under President Trump, Super Tracker was a program that was cut. Super Tracker was basically your government or free public version of Nutrition Pal. And that was really important for nutritionists and nutrition students in doing nutrition analysis of your foods to help educate clients around what are you eating and what and how to advise you better in terms of your diet. And so that program force people to find other ways to educate their clients and do more private programs. And so you have not only that, when we think about just overall programs that affect not only food but agriculture. Think about what happened recently. The $2.2 billion that was given to Black farmers in the historic settlement, it would have been well more money than that. But because of Trump-appointed judges and also those suing the government, they blocked the progress of those funds being released and lowered the cost, because the argument was, well, what about all of us? The whataboutism is a very popular way of moving away from the real issue. But luckily, something was able to get done, so some funds were able to go into the hands of Black farmers. So those issues that we're dealing with are imagining embodied within Project 25 about it's really a plan of white nation building is the best way to describe it.
And so for those who don't understand what is food, I know food stamp and
so Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program,
SNAP,
formerly
actually,
known as the Food Stamp Program, which I want to shout out a colleague, Dr. Bobby Smith at University of Illinois Urbana, who wrote the book Food Power Politics.
Okay.
And in that book, he talks about before there was ever the food stamp program, we had the food commodities. And even then, a red state like Mississippi with a Republican governor, there was a town, Greenwood, Mississippi. They were blocking the federal commodities program that was going to benefit Black sharecroppers to the point where they were experiencing malnutrition. So there was a national outcry about this issue, and food was being shipped to the community, and Dick Gregory became the face advocating for this issue. And it was one of those moments where they flipped it and created the food stamp program with this idea of not choosing the government for the grocery store, which is what they call the commodities, but choosing private businesses, private markets. And so it actually increased the revenue for those who own grocery markets. To now see a Republican governor, and Oklahoma governor is not alone, right? It's like 13 of them. 13 governors who are blocking the summer nutrition program. So if they're willing to take food out of your baby's mouth, what would stop them from taking it from you? And so this is why it's a huge issue when we understand the role of good nutrition, what it does to our minds, our bodies, how do we become productive citizens, performing high in the workplace. It has real implications to our healthcare expenses. I mean, diet-related diseases cost billions of dollars in this country. Just take diabetes, heart disease, cancer alone. So you have a real situation of who do we value? We understand a lot of this, the roots of it comes to back in this idea of who is inferior and superior. And long as part of Project 2025 believe that minorities are inferior, they don't deserve, they will die off naturally, like some Darwinism kind of experiment, then the belief is we'll never have a right to health, right to food, because somehow it benefits Black folks more than white folks, and therefore they're willing to cut off their nose in order to save face.
And that's not true, because I also had and you can quote me if I'm wrong, where they were talking about that actually the SNAP benefits more of the white minority than the Black.
Most definitely. That's the crazy part about it. And I mean, that's why I can't help but to go back to the Bacon's Rebellion. I love history and about how race was codified in law when Blacks and those who were formerly indentured white servants or whatever, and those who were just low income, right, who came and band together and were trying to overthrow the system, who were like the lords of the land. And they found a way to like create that racial divide, so those who really come from the same means would not come together and overthrow the system. And so it's these narratives that unfortunately keep those shackled to white supremacy in ways that ultimately hurt them than it actually helps them.
That's true. And let's talk about now, when we talk about food insecurity, you have mentioned a few things. Is GMO part of causing food insecurity too? I just want to ask that question. Genetically modified foods in some ways. Because I think about, and why I say that is like stuff like right now going on also, they're taking GMOs to Kenya, and you think you know about that, right? To different parts of Africa, GMO seeds.
Right.
And some farmers are complaining because they're saying once you plant that, you
terminator seeds.
Yes, the contaminated seeds. You can't plant anything after that. And while you know, many of us in Africa, we are subsistence farmers. We have our farm, but it's just not gonna be corn. It'll be corn. It will be beans. It will be what? So what's up with that? Because
so I would say there's a different way. So genetic engineering, there's levels to it, right?
Yes.
So farmers have genetically engineered in terms of gene splicing or whatever, but I think what we're talking about is a much higher level technology where you can't do in nature, right? In terms of grafting trees and all that. But what we're talking about here when it comes to like terminator seeds, like this is about profitability. How do you feed into a capitalistic system that makes money for corporate ag? And so in a situation where we're having displacing local farmers, local food economy, that is problematic, and that is why part of the whole coalition that I'm forming, Food Freedom Fighters, is about understanding that we need resilient local regional food economies. And part of that is understanding like how do we ensure that are you making money off the backs of us and if we die, like ultimately, how do you
maintain your
how
money?
do you maintain the money?
Yes, yes.
And so this is the balance, right, between food and health systems that they need to find a way to integrate and work together versus playing against one another.
That's very true. And so I just want to let everybody know you are watching the Mama Africa show. Today we are here with my friend Tambra Raye, and we are discussing food insecurity. And Tambra, you have another organization that you have put in place, Food Freedom Fighters Coalition for Kamala Harris. What's about with that? Tell me more about that.
You know, it's kind of like in the movie Amazing Grace, Wilberforce, just in that moment of angst when you have so much information and it's just like, when are you going to use it for the cause?
Yes.
And so for me, being the first African American at American University School of Communication to get a master's in media technology and democracy, and now still the only African American in our PhD program presently, and my research focusing on Black women, I'm like, of all the things, shouldn't I be using my research to help save a democracy that is being led potentially by a Black woman?
Yes.
And so to me, that's where this opportunity came. Like, it's not going to come again. And
That's
at least
true.
not anytime soon in my lifetime.
Yes.
So I said, well, we need to pump the brakes. God understands because he's put me on the path. So let me put my faith, food, and politics in the direction that when November comes, I won't have any remorse or regret because I didn't do what I could do in this moment of time. Because history is being written right now, and I plan to be a part of it, and hopefully on the good side of history.
Yeah. And do you think Kamala Harris will do a good job when it comes to food insecurity, whereby he can,
You know why she's going to do a good job?
Yes.
A great job
Yes.
is because we're going to make sure she has the support, the information, and really the coalition force to move an agenda forward that ensures that our communities are not continuing to be affected by food apartheid. Food democracy is so critically important in how we see ourselves as food citizens and participate in an active game of football. And right now, politics is a blood sport, and we have to acknowledge that when we fight, we feast, and when we fight, we win. And when we do that, we ensure that we have a future of food that looks like us, by us, and for us. And too many times that has not been the case. Our labor has been used to build this food system, but yet we are still needing to take on getting the revenue, the collateral that we are owed. And it's so important in honoring our ancestors to understand that they've paved the way for us, and it's now our time to do our part in how we can do that. And mine is it through the power of food.
And so you are very passionate definitely about food, nutrition, cooking.
It's connected to everything.
Yes, cooking everything, cooking the African you call the Pan-African diet, or maybe Pan-African menus. I want to ask you something. What, if you can recall, what experience, cemented this fight for you? What have you seen that, if you could say, was took you to almost like to a place, to the age where you were like, no, something
not
has
on
to
my
be,
watch.
Yes.
Most definitely.
What experience?
I think for me, again, in my nutrition program at Oklahoma State University, I was the only African American in that program and doing nutrition research. And as Michelle Obama came into power as First Lady with the Let's Move initiative, I saw this sea of chefs taking up the cause to move the agenda forward. Some I know who are chefs have diabetes, so I'm thinking to myself, what is the curriculum that you're learning? Are you learning African diasporic cuisine? No. And so I was we need to ensure that we have other folks armed in this fight who have different superpowers, like nutritionists, dietitians, farmers, healthcare providers. And so that became an opportunity. Like when Michelle left, it's like, who's going to continue the food fight? And so for me, that was Black women, and that was also understanding that the Mediterranean diet has taken on a role and a life of its own. And because someone made an agenda to invest in that diet.
That's true.
And so we need to do the same thing in moving the African diaspora food agenda forward and making sure that there are government investments in those foodways, but also how those that data turns into dollars.
Yes.
It turns into economic development. It creates jobs in our community.
Yes.
It improves the health of our community and instills cultural pride in our people.
Yes.
And so it has so many huge implications when you understand that African food having a seat at the table means they have a seat at democracy, and it informs and inspires those on the continent to know that they need to reclaim their own heritage foods.
So are you trying to say that Pan-African foods are have more nutritious value than any other kind of foods? Tell me about that.
I mean, African heritage foods, if totally researched in the investments that Mediterranean diet has, is most definitely strong food for strong people. Just think about millet, fonio.
I mean, fufu is good for us.
Well, it depends on what it's made out of. People are now making fufu out of oatmeal.
Yes. Oh, what?
I know. It blew my mind.
What? But
exactly.
I like the plantain fufu. I think that's healthy, very healthy.
Exactly.
Which other kind of fufu is the corn? Do they make corn? Yams is wonderful.
If you think about it, ugali is made out of maize.
Yes.
When you think about tuwo, which is made out of rice, I mean, you have so many different
and then let's talk about the vegetables that we have. You know, there's sukuma wiki.
Exactly.
What else do we have? There is cabbage.
You're making me hungry.
There is what else? There is my favorite. I like that.
You have okra soups.
I like the bitter leaf. My
bitter leaf.
God, if I could find bitter leaf here in America, I'll be eating it.
You have bitter
day.
leaf here in America.
The
African markets.
What? I need to
and
find
the Nigerian restaurants.
Egusi, all that stuff. So we don't promote our own foods, which are
most
really
definitely, and that's
very
changing.
nutritious. Yes,
you see over time more, and this is what happens, right? If you study what happened to Latin America, to Asia, as their economies were improving, the food opportunities were improving in the diaspora. So you see it now in food retail. You see IO foods, you see mealies, you see so many Yolele foods. You see more and more, and what that means is as more people take pride in their culture and themselves, because this is what the effects of colonialism is to then reclaim it in ways in which it creates that economic opportunity.
So also African governments need to promote
most
African
definitely part of tourism
food. Yes,
most definitely food tourism is a whole category that can inject economic opportunities.
Oh man, that would be really awesome, because sometimes you travel and you go to a hotel in Kenya or and they are offering all this Mediterranean Western foods.
So I'm glad you brought this up. So when I was in Nairobi in December, we hosted a sisterhood supper, one of the local Swahili restaurants, and we had a gathering of nutritionists, nutrition students, those in the agricultural space, and they talked about they're not learning about their foods in the school. They're not growing the foods. Everything is being catered to the West. And I'm like, I came all the way to Africa to have a whole conversation to say that the Western Empire has expanded into our food system. This is huge problematic. We can try to justify that given the 13% black population in the U.S., but to have a whole continent and country like Kenya and Africa to say this is deeply problematic.
It is really, and that's why there's a fight also in different parts of African countries about this GMO kind of seedling.
Because of what it represents, right? Yes. And and it's a metaphor, it's a signifier of saying like, is the West better than the rest of us? And the answer is no. But we have to believe it in order to achieve it, and then we'll conceive it. And it really begins a mindset shift with everything. Yeah.
So right there on the issue of food, which foods can you name some of the foods which healers, if I may call, and then name some foods that are not, can I call them evils? Yes, give me some example, because we talk about food, but a lot of us don't know that like diseases like cancer and diabetes can be prevented by eating the right foods.
Most definitely.
And sometimes it's our economy, as we were talking about food insecurity, that makes us
affordability.
Yes, food that hurts us. So what foods can you advise people? You are a nutritionist. What foods you say this?
So I'll first say it's not only the food, but it's also how it was grown. How do you prepare it, and the process, kind of like the
Yes,
transfiguration of
I
Jesus.
remember
They
you
all-
teaching me one day how to wash rice. You told me the white rice has to be washed like so many times so that the color can come out, something like that.
No, you don't need. So this is the thing. Rice is colorful to
Yes,
begin with. So
yes.
you just straight up buy the black rice, the pink rice,
Ye-
the red rice.
I'm talking about the white rice.
I don't touch it. So.
Don't touch it.
I mean, people touch.
Yes.
Obviously, I eat white rice.
Yes.
But what happens is you need to diversify your diet, because part of when it comes to whole grains, the anatomy of the grain
Yeah.
is bran, germ, and the endosperm.
Yes.
And when you're milling
Uh-huh.
grains, you are only left with the endosperm, which is the carbohydrate.
Yes.
The other anatomical parts of the grain
That we need.
is is where the fiber is
Yes.
where the vitamins and minerals are. And so when you strip those away, it's
So
like
white
taking
rice
off your
splits-
it's like
splits
taking away your skin
Skin,
and your
yes.
muscle and only leaving your bone.
And so that's what white rice becomes. So
That
originally,
is what milled
originally
rice is.
So originally, white rice is never white. Can I explain to somebody who like me? When you grow it, is it different than then when it's milled and only manufactured becomes
Well,
the white rice?
So there are different kinds. There's a whole rice federation
Oh,
that can
Lord.
get you into all the details of the different species.
Yes,
But
uh-huh.
what we know for sure, if we
Yes.
understand the role of what colonialism has done,
Uh-huh.
the idea is that everything white is right. And part of me is to educate people to understand that connection. So it's about everything being a metaphor.
Okay.
And I'm taking this back to the KKK. So
Yes.
in their KKK newsletter, Ku Klux Klan,
Yes.
when women who were upholding white power,
Yes.
they would have a recipe column in their newsletters where they would only use Martha White flour. This is in good colleague Linda, who wrote the book Baking Wars, came upon this research in her studies. And when I understood the power of what whiteness in our food system does, I had to understand that then I'm choosing all things color. And when you look at it from a nutritional perspective, like
Yes.
the
Definitely.
flavonoids, like
Yes.
darker the berry, sweeter the juice, but more
yes.
nutritious too.
Yes.
So when we look at hibiscus,
Uh-huh.
it is the sorrel, the bissap, the wanjo. We have so many different names, zobo, that we name it. It's
Yes.
a very dark
Uh-huh.
burgundy color when you make that into a drink. Well,
Yes.
the health benefits from that drink is decreasing your blood pressure, right?
I got a lot of hibiscus in my house.
Exactly.
Keep going.
And then when you combine that with the gingers
Yes.
and people sweeten it with the fruits,
Yes.
like it's a very good drink to have
Yes.
during summertime. A
I'm
warm
making
tea
some
that you
hibiscus
make is
tomorrow. Uh-huh.
so that's one. And then let's take the African diet is mostly composed of greens compared
Yes.
to any other culture
And
when
it's
you think
actually-
about
it's
it.
very
and it's
vegetarian.
very. And so
Yes,
that was the other part. When I was in the
Yes.
Nairobi markets, I enjoyed just seeing all the different indigenous greens growing.
Yes.
And it was just like so not commonplace to find that on a menu,
Yes.
especially in Swahili region. It was everything fried laid to the side.
The coconut stew in the
But
beans.
coconut beans.
Yes,
that's
talk
the other
about it.
part. So,
Yes,
so the beans and the greens and the
Yes.
grains together are
Yeah.
good, strong sources of fiber, and we have a fiber epidemic in this country
Most
because we
definitely.
need at least 25 grams a day, and most people are not getting that. So this is the other problem when it comes to eating refined grains.
Yes.
As majority of your diet. So the
Cut down
grains,
what?
the grains of the fiber, refined grains that you'll see in pastries, in
Yes.
donuts, in burger buns, in pizza, like
Uh-huh.
all the things that we eat, right?
Yes.
But the question is, how do you strike a balance? And more times than not, from a retail perspective, we don't get the options to choose our health, choose our culture, and
Yes.
therefore we end up having to make that in the home. So the opportunity is to be able to expand and create those foods and make them more conveniently available than what they currently are now because of the health benefits that they do have.
Yes. And so what are the foods, like we talked about hibiscus, one of the food that can help lower your blood pressure? Which
And
other
then we
foods?
have fonio, we have millet. So these are the cereal grasses that are
millet.
naturally gluten free.
Yes.
That I have a number of friends, when they come from Ghana or from Africa
got
and they
millet
come
in
to
the
the
house.
US,
Uh-huh.
they begin having celiac issues. And so when they go back to their native foods like millet, fonio, as well as other cereal grasses like that, they end up having no issues when it comes to that particular food allergy. And so that to me says something that your memory cells in your DNA, they remember. Your ancestor cells, they remember. And so you're feeding your ancestors literally in your DNA when you think about the foods that you're serving. And so I think that's the other powerful part is like also when you're preparing the foods, what are the aromatics, right? The Holy Trinity, the garlics, the gingers, the onion, like combining that to create the basis, because that's helping to be microbial, antifungal, antibacterial. And we didn't realize that at a time in which we didn't have access to refrigeration, like the additional ingredients that you had helped to manage those microbes and basically detox the body, right, through using natural foods.
You know, let me tell you something. I think what people don't do, they are not present when they eat. You understand what I mean? Eating
mindfulness.
Yes, that
very demure.
Yes,
very mindful.
Yes, we are not mindful when we eat because we are so, and that's the Western. It's a Western culture, and now it's becoming almost everywhere. We are so busy going to work, take kids.
The rat race.
You don't really think about what you want to cook or what you're going to eat, because if you do that right there, just the thinking, the mindfulness will make you realize, okay, no, I ate Chick-fil-A yesterday. I cannot eat today. I ate donuts yesterday. I cannot eat it today. Because then you understand now, you know, if I'm doing this, I'm actually hurting my body. And we don't think about that because we
and it's like compound interest, like finances, that you see the weight over time.
Yes, that's it. It is really compound interest. Compound interest.
And you like at the end of the year, like, damn, I just gained 10 pounds.
How did I do that? Because you never thought about what you were putting in your mouth.
Exactly.
And so we really
those
need
extra 500 calories every day adds up to 3,500 calories equals a pound.
Yes.
So imagine that if you're doing that consistently and you're not moving your body in terms of a real way where you're breaking a sweat.
Yes.
It's natural. Like I experimented with myself last year because I had, like many people, we had the COVID wave that happened.
Yes.
But then I realized I need to get outside, move my body, and be more intentional.
Yes.
Make sure I have like a green smoothie, green salad. Like I found all the ways in which to include greens, beans, and grains. And
beans and grains. That is
over time.
I'm gonna make a
and then water.
Beans and grains. Hey,
oh yeah,
it's
true. And then water, right? We cannot forget God's
and
liquid.
Water. Yes.
So getting like half your body weight. So I'm doing at least 80 ounces in a day. Flushing fiber and water together helps to flush your system,
and therefore they take out those toxics out of the body.
We don't realize how much toxins are a part of our weight.
Yes.
And if we did, we would do differently.
I truly believe
and
that.
why we have cancer.
Yes, I truly believe that it's what we eat that causes our sickness.
It's a huge.
It
let thy food be thy medicine, or thy be your death.
Medicine. Yeah, it is really true. And even when it comes to people who we want to lose some weight, I think if we just focus on what we eat, it can help us battle the weight issue.
It is.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, and this is why the food policy piece matters, right?
Yes,
because when you think about affordability, when you think about what foods are available in your community, if you don't have a car, if you have children, if you have sick parents to watch after, if you don't have the skills to cook, which is another critical part, home ec is removed. We don't have access to nutrition education for all. We don't have land to grow our food. So you start seeing how over time, chipping away, we're in a situation where we have an obesity epidemic in our communities.
Yes.
Why we have a diabetes epidemic in our communities. Why we know family members who have died not from gunshot wounds, but from preventable diseases because of the way our system is designed, but the way we do not value a culture of health. And that's why I'm going to go back to this piece. What do we value as Americans? What do we value as a people? Because our policies should begin reflecting those values. Right now, we value making money. Well, you make money at any cost to the point that you're going to die from the dollar.
Yes.
And we should not be surprised what happens. So until we begin shifting our values, that we care about our health, we care about our communities, we care about ourselves, then we begin reflecting, creating policies that show that we do.
And okay, there's one thing you're doing. Of course, you're doing many wonderful things, but I think the policy thing, it's so important.
It's critical.
It's so significant because it is the policies that are going to help us.
Most definitely.
The people who are, as we call the regular, person realize, okay, things have changed and I need to change. If the policies are there to support us and say, okay, we're going to make sure that organic foods are not as expensive. That's one thing. We're going to make sure we don't have food deserts, that we have grocery stores, even in areas whereby it's definitely marginalized or low income, We're going to make sure that, we provide a SNAP or food stamp to everyone, and they can use it at any grocery store. I want them to use it at the mom's. I want it to be used at Trader Joe's so that the person can choose to take.
And that doesn't happen overnight, right? It takes advocates. It takes everyday people to see themselves as food citizens. When you think about the Healthy Food Financing Initiative, that initiative helped to put fruits and vegetables in everyday corner stores and help to fund new businesses like Mary Blackford's Market 7 that's coming on board towards 7 to give a space for Black food entrepreneurs to be able to be in communities. This is why administrations matter. This is why the judicial system matters. This is why local state politicians matter. If they don't put food on their agenda and we don't make them accountable to us as a people, they will continue to do what they've already been done, which is the status quo.
And that is why we need to vote. So I don't want to hear nobody.
Because when we fight, we feast.
I don't want to hear nobody telling me that, oh, Anna, I'm not going to vote, or that kind of. Oh,
exactly.
That's why we need to vote. And again, you are watching Mama Africa show, and this comes to you every other Friday, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And definitely, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel, Mama Africa. And I got some people here who are commenting. Somebody said the best is plantains and cassava. When we're talking about the
fufu.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you are so right about that. I agree with you. A powerful young lady. Somebody said you are a powerful young lady out here. So you are getting your props when you are still here. And definitely, one thing I wanted to mention before we now, wrap up is that when it comes to food, as we talk mindfulness, what advice would you give for us? I see a lot of things that are happening in the communities, and those in the middle class communities, whereby you have a backyard, you can plant, some stuff. People who don't have a backyard, people who are living in an apartment, people who are struggling. What advice can you give to help us be able to, take care of ourselves? Because if we wait for policies to change, they may never change. What can I pass? What is my responsibility?
I would say, one, be in community with people who care about these issues, and that's why I want to invite everyone to join in on Tuesday, September 3rd, at 7 p.m. to our national organizing call with food freedom fighters. Because when we begin to be aware of what's happening, we are tapping into those resources. Also, we're trying to have an open call letter to sign on for a food bill of rights, and to understanding that we need local food policy councils in our communities, because these are individuals that are advocating, looking over policy and making recommendations to our local governments. And so for those of you who want specific advice in kitchens and homes, it starts with understanding like the basics. We just talked about it. Greens, beans, and grains. How are you incorporating? If you have a grain issue, gluten-free, then we just gave you some cereal grass recommendations. When you think about fruits, like, are you getting fresh fruits? Can you get see 2.5 cups a day of fruits and grains, beans that you should be having in your body, as a rule of thumb, and see that as a way to fight off diseases, right? And also looking at water. How, if you have issues with the water, I know people drink a lot from water bottles, but hey, microplastics are in there, BPA, like, boil your water, old school, first thing in the morning, have some moringa tea, put some green tea, peppermint tea in that. You would be amazed what those teas can do for you on top of having natural honeys. I brought back 2 large containers of honey from Nairobi. That dark good stuff. That's that medicine that the Bible talked about.
I forgot. I thought they were going to catch me at the customs.
Nah,
and tell me,
they had me throw away the fruit, but I got to keep the honey.
Oh, good. I brought me some millet.
Yes, all of it, exactly.
I was a minute, and what else? And I was so scared because I saw this policeman take some people's things out, and I did not tell my husband what I had in my bag. And when we got here, I said, "Boy, I had me some minute in there." I said, "No wonder you were nervous."
You think we're smuggling cocaine? We smuggling good food for the community.
We just want to live, yo.
We just want to live.
Yeah.
You know this food's killing us over here.
Yes. Wow, man, it's amazing that we really underestimate food.
We really
the
do.
The power of
we
food,
really
we
do.
really underestimate.
And part of that, right, you have to go back to, like I said, read the book Food Power Politics by Bobby Smith.
Let me write it
In
down.
the book, he
Food
talks
Power
about
Politics.
plantation commissaries, where if you were a black sharecropper, you had the plantation owner, I'm going to call him that because that's what it was.
Yes.
Go to the local general store. You had credit, right? And they would monitor what you're putting in your bag, right? If you wanted to maybe have a dessert or a T-bone steak, like,
Yes.
don't get that. So then we start to understand over time why we have a real issue with this idea of someone taking away, controlling our food, because historically that's what's been done. But what we have to understand is that there is no white people food here.
Yeah.
It's about food that is to heal us versus food that kills us. And what food's going to do that? And do you deserve and believe you deserve to live a long life? And that's why it begins with a mindset. If you believe that you're worthy, deserving, because God has put you on this earth to solve a problem, to uphold his purpose and vision for your life, then eat the provisions that will ensure that you have a long life to see that vision out.
And let me just say this to my son and all the children out there. Eat your vegetables.
Exactly. Don't blame the veggie, blame the cook.
Yeah. Eat your vegetables. They are very important. You know, kids, I don't know why kids, who told kids that vegetables are bad? And you're just telling us
so
that
what I
they're
learned,
amazing
you
things.
have to get them involved in the kitchen cooking. My daughter Ruby enjoys eating okra. Why? I did an episode for Botanic Gardens where we're cooking okra and tomato saute in the iron skillet, and now she enjoys okra. So it's these things that matter. Get them involved into the process.
Very good. Somebody said food power politics, and somebody, Rehema, is here saying, yes, true. Rehema has gone on to say, Wanda is, I have seen you grow. Rehema say, Wanda, I have seen you grow. What a pleasure. So you have somebody there just giving you your flowers. But to end, tell me, what are the foods that kill us?
Well, if it's white, it ain't right. If it's brown, let it stick around. Don't have food that's a fried, dyed, and laid to the side, because that's what's going to happen.
Wait, say that again. White ain't right.
If it's brown, let it stick around. So I'm talking about,
I know. Go ahead.
And then if it's fried, dyed, laid to the side, that's what you're going to be
if it's fried, this
dyed
is the point.
and laid to the side. That's what you're going to be.
Fried, dyed,
laid to the side.
Laid to the side. What does explain that?
So in the South, there was a study done by a friend around food environments.
Yes.
When we eat vegetables, it's typically fried. Fried okra, fried corn. Everything's fried. Fried potatoes, everything.
Yeah.
If we could, we'll fry broccoli too.
Yes.
So when you think about what the deep oils are doing in terms of like at high temps, trans fatty acids, and what that does in terms of your clogging arteries, it's not good over time. And so you have to have a balance, eat something sauteed, raw, even blended, make it into a smoothie. I mean, there's so many different ways to show that the food can be flavorful. And that's why creativity is that secret sauce in the kitchen that we have to be able to exercise. And that's why there is power in having influencers online showing different ways of how to cook because we don't have nutrition education in all of our schools and universities. And so democratizing that nutrition education by way of digital media becomes a really popular thing. There's a balance with mis and disinformation that happens online where people are doing all sorts of things that is kind of like, is that going to get you to your goals
Yes.
or not. And you have a situation where like, yeah, Ozempic babies is a thing,
It's
right?
a thing, yes.
And it's the study ain't out, right?
Yes,
You are the study, right?
Yes,
When you report to the doctor's office. I'm not trying to be the guinea pig.
Yes,
So good luck on that one. I'm
Yeah.
gonna stick with what God's provisions has given us.
Yes. What about if I may call it, okay, meats, okay? So just to wrapping up,
Sure.
yeah.
So the best way to think about meats is transit time. Which
Yeah.
meats is going to digest faster in your gut, because
Yes.
gut health is the critical part of this conversation.
Yes.
And what we eat, our stress levels changes the microbial environment in our guts, and that really is important. So so for instance,
Beef.
if you're pescatarian, like you love fish,
Yes.
that's going to digest quicker than beef.
Okay.
Same with pork. So is to be mindful that how much do you really need? We talk about palm size.
Yes.
No more than 3. If you're going to eat meat, no more than 3 palm size in a day. Most people are not doing that.
No.
They're not. Think about a typical steak at Ruth's Chris.
Oh,
it's 16
my
ounces.
goodness, yes.
Do you know how much that is? Like 2 days worth of meat.
I tell you, and
So that's part of the problem, right?
Yes,
We eat gluttonous. We eat too
Yes,
much. And
yes,
so if we're eating in true moderation, then you would have all the fruits and vegetables and grains to balance that out, which we do not.
Yes, and that's why I should add something. I should say, if it's too, what's the word? If it's too big, don't trust it.
I mean, it's the size. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, because like when I think about in Kenya, if you go to a restaurant those days,
Large
you
portions.
don't get as large portion. You get good sized portion, even at home when we eat. But when you come here, the first time they take you to an
everything
all
is
you
big
can
and
eat,
better.
you are like, oh my goodness.
And you wonder why you're big.
I'm gonna eat all this, and so the thing is, portion matters.
Yeah, cut costs,
Definitely.
cut calories. And that's why a rule of thumb, if I'm after this program, I'm gonna
Yes.
stop at Swahili Village, right? And if I get a meal, guess what? I'm eating that in half, and the rest
Yes.
is gonna be lunchtime.
Yes.
And that's how we should think about it, because we're supposed to be, depending on your activity level, height, weight, and all the things.
Yes.
2,500 calories we could burn in a day easily.
Yes.
But we're eating sometimes 4,000 worth of calories.
Yes,
And so this is how the
yes.
weight happens over time. Like, and I would have my mom say like, well, I didn't really eat that much. Well, if you understand what they put in that
their
food
food,
and how
yes.
they prepared it and cook it, like
Yes,
they have some things that make sure you are hooked.
Wow.
So
yes.
and that's where the flavor
Oh,
levers are,
yes.
the
We
sweet,
gotta-
the salty, the spicy, all those things.
We gotta come back for that because we have more to talk about. You talk about that stuff they put in foods that make it so tasty, and the Chinese,
addictive.
What's the thing called? The Asians were saying no, it's not bad. It was actually in the news.
Right.
I don't know what it was.
Monosodium glutamate.
Yeah, something like that. And I know it's not that. So definitely, Tambra, you gotta come back because we all have food issues.
Yeah, we're in a food fight for our lives.
Yes, it is really a food fight for our lives. It
And that's
really
why
is,
when we
yeah.
fight, we feast.
When we fight, we feast. And how can people, get in touch
Yeah,
with
they
you?
can follow me on Tambra Raye, TAMBRARAYE on Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn. Twitter be tweeting in the wrong ways, so I'm not really there.
Okay.
And Facebook. So I would say Instagram really is the home. Check out IamWanda.org and IamWanda.org.
Yes.
And Food Freedom Fighters is now on Instagram and Facebook. So definitely follow us, get involved, come and join the kickoff event. And we're doing more than just that. We want people to truly understand that we are food freedom fighters, and we need to fight because we need a feast for a
Yes.
better future.
And there's even one more thing I wanted to say, because as you were talking about, you can make smoothies, you can do that. I was thinking, what about this guy who doesn't even have a blender, Or,
True.
Yeah, and, so I was just thinking about those people who are really suffering, those people
Right.
who really don't have even a job right now, excuse me, to help them eat right. But I think the best thing is that don't be tempted with the, McDonald's that's in the corner, because even though you're buying food over there, you could have saved that money and bought you something that you can
Most
cook.
definitely.
And that's the thing. Sometimes that fast food is really, I may call it the big devil, because it's not.
It's the temptation, right?
Yes.
And what we know, like if you're drinking soda, it actually makes you more dehydrated than water.
Yes.
And so this is all about the power of marketing and media
Yes.
and changing perceptions of how we
Yes.
see. And if we put a much marketing dollars in fruits and vegetables, which is a drop in the bucket to fast food, you would quickly realize like, oh, this is why I'm eating it, because they understand top of mind awareness. One of my internships was at an ad agency when I was in Boston at Tufts in grad school. And so I realized our whole goal is to keep products top of mind. And so as long as we having burgers top of mind, pizza top of mind, and all the foods that are not your foods, then we're winning, and we're putting money out of our communities in the hands of someone else's community. And that's why we need to change the conversation and join the food fight now.
Yes,
because we're fighting for food freedom.
We are fighting for food freedom. We are fighting for our lives. And right now we are listening to Janelia Soul as we go on our break, coming back with our Proverbs of the week or Proverbs of the month or the mother tongue section. But this is what I want to say, guys. This was a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much, Ms. Tambra Raye Stevenson, for just educating us. You took us to school, and then you gave us some wisdom, and you told us what we need to do to basically fight for our life. This is not only freedom fight for food, it's also for our lives. And I'm telling you, there is nothing as powerful as a mindful eating. So from you to me to the world, let's eat right, yo. It doesn't take money, it takes thinking about what you're putting in your mouth and thinking twice about that. We'll be back. This is Janelia Soul with Coco. You are watching Mama Africa show right here on YouTube or my channel, Mama Africa. Please subscribe so that you can, support this program, support this show, support Mama Africa as we do a lot of things in this, from educating, from performances that I do, my comedy, my music with my band Afro Floetry, to even Mama Africa show, where I try my best to bring for you people in the community who are doing amazing work. I mean, we had Tambra, we've had Kathy, we have had so many people. We have Tolu, we have Janelia. So please support us so that we can reach out to the community. We can be an agent of change, as Tambra said, transformative change. That's what we are looking for, to rebuild, to reinvigorate our communities. So subscribe to YouTube, Mama Africa Anna. That is my show. That is my channel. And definitely we come to you twice a month on Friday, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. But now let's go to the Proverbs section. Tambra, I call you my African sister because you are, and you told me you know some Hausa. So with that Hausa knowledge, I need you to drop two nice proverbs that you think, it could be proverbs that your mother has used. It could be proverbs that can connect with what we are talking about today. Proverbs that resonate with you.
I would say one of the proverbs is Guda Dae Baya Koshi, which is one grain does not fill the stomach, but it takes more than a little effort to achieve success and or satisfaction.
Yes.
And the second one is Abinchi Shi Ni Ashirin Lafia, which is food is the secret of good health.
Yes.
And that's what we're fighting for.
And that's what we're fighting for. But I want also one in when you're growing up, when your mother used to say, oh, you had around the house, everywhere, something that was being stored. I don't care. I'm waiting. Come on now. Or what you tell your daughter.
Well, she is here, so I don't, she can speak for herself. We know that for sure. Honestly, not food related, but my mom would always say, if you give her an inch, she'll take a mile. The beauty is that I'm taking that mile in the fight for food freedom, so it's worth it.
It's worth it. Oh, that's such a wonderful way to end it, man. Yes, you don't mind, you don't care what others say. You are strong, you are confident, and you are taking that mile because It's what's needed right now. We got to
Most
fight
definitely.
for food.
Got to put
security.
your blinders on and focus and get into the game. Or you're just
Yes.
on the sidelines.
Yes, yes. We are not going to be out here crying. We are not going to be out here talking about I got arthritis or arthritis. We are, we are not doing that no more because we have to choose.
Right.
We have to choose right.
But I do want to give a quick shout out
Yes.
to just 2 years ago in the midst as the pandemic was coming down. I created the WANDA Scholars Program
Yes.
at Oklahoma State University. We created an endowment that is funding Black women to pursue degrees in agriculture and nutrition. And
Yes.
so we now have 2 that have received a scholarship,
wow.
and now a third one. That we host our sisterhood suppers, which is an
Yes.
opportunity
Yes,
to
I've been
fundraise
there.
and shake tables for change in our communities, literally and figuratively. But lastly, we expanded that to Africa, specifically to Bayero
nice.
University in northern Nigeria, where we're now funding up to 45 girls, paying all their tuition,
Oh, wow.
fees, partnering with 2 NGOs that are providing them with life skills, personal development. And what we've learned is that through the power of planting a seed of hope in them, we're indirectly fighting human trafficking.
Yes.
Because now we have hope in families to believe that their
Yes.
daughters are going to have a better life by getting this education at Bayero, pursuing degrees in nutrition and agriculture. And we will soon go into a partnership with a local radio program so they can design nutrition programs for the public as we're doing today. And so it's about funding them, but also so they can help nourish their communities and become the food heroes that our community needs.
And I just want to shout out to also, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I want to shout out to all those who are live listening to us today. Good luck, Ileza. I think following from Kigamboni, Dar es Salaam. We have Rehema Nkesi. I hope I did not butcher your name. And we have Nkisi, Sasesi, yes, Ali Badawi, of course, my dear friend. And we have others who told me they are going to log in and listen. So I know they are somehow. And thank you all for listening to our shows. In fact, before even I end, I wanted to say, when you talk about what you're doing with children, it's so important. It's because we got to get them when they are young.
Most definitely.
And that's the best place. You know, I went to Kenya the other day and they were so excited, man. They have a KFC. I'm like, man.
Yeah, it's like a sign of social status.
I'm like,
That's what
yes.
Westernization will do.
I'm like, no, man, don't be excited about this.
Yeah.
This is going to bring obesity to kids. You know,
Exactly.
just
It's
like you
true.
see the
Yeah,
widespread.
it's like the Trojan horse.
Yes, man. We don't want to do that. We don't even want them. I mean,
If you don't learn from your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
I'm telling you, history is so important. So advocacy, going to East Africa, to South Africa, whatever parts of Africa, and
Right.
talking about the importance of our heritage food
Most definitely.
is what is also needed
It's true.
in the continent of Africa.
That's why I became the
Yes.
first ever North American representative of the African Nutrition Society in 2018 in
Yes.
Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And we will now be coming back to Ghana this semester to have that conversation on African diasporans in nutrition, a part of the African Nutrition Society, where I sit on their scientific committee.
Yes.
And so it's these bridges that we need to continue to build, because the opportunity to invest in research in African foods will create those economic opportunities that our community needs.
Wow. I mean, please, when you go out there, tell them why French fry is not good for them. And
The
these
acrylamide,
burgers
it's the
and-
acrylamide. You know, cooking it at high temps can be cancerous, and so you get into the high smoking points, and that's really important to understand about, like, just like our body has to be at a particular temperature to operate, like our
Yes.
cars need to be a particular temperature. These are common sense things, right? Like, we cannot operate in extreme conditions, and our food cannot either. And so everything is about symbiosis. What we do to the planet is what we do to ourselves, and vice versa.
Oh, what? Thank you, Wilfred Kandia. That is my friend who said, great topic. Thank you, Rehema. Love it. That's right. Oh, so many wonderful, comments on live going on YouTube right now, because this was amazing. And so before we end the show, I want to say thank you. Asante sana. And thank you for all the listeners today. We had a wonderful show. I encourage you to send your proverbs over via email. You know my email, or Just go on YouTube when we are live and put your proof up there. Thank you for listening to us. We are, and wherever you are, in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, even in Antarctica, we thank you. And oh yes, my band and I will be performing at the Abebe Bikila Marathon, which is September 14th. We are encouraging anyone who wants to run a 5K or a marathon to register so that they can come and run. And so I put that information on Facebook. You can also get me on my social media as Mama Africa Anna. I am on Instagram. What else? Facebook. What else? TikTok. I am all over the place. And so this has been great. We thank you. Please love yourself, love one another. Till next week. Oh no, not next week, till the second week in September. I am out.